welcome to Safari Live. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this morning is Craig, or Batman, and then of course we've got Tara and Senzo on the other vehicle, and then the ladies in the final control. As I said, a very good morning to you. It is cloudy. I'm assuming these clouds are going to burn off a little bit later. It's not that cold this morning because of the cloud cover. It insulates a lot of the warmth. We just got going out of camp. We hoping to find anything really this morning. We're driving around hoping for leopard especially. Now, we had an update from some of the other guides. They had shongile yesterday, which is very exciting. We have not seen that young female leopard for quite some time. So both myself and Tara are going to look around very, very carefully to see if we can find any tracks of her and hopefully find her. Now, don't forget, everybody, we are completely live, so send us your questions and your comments. You can do that via Twitter at #SafariLive, and we will hopefully answer them for you. Now, don't forget, we are, for some of you, our new viewers, we are situated right up in the northeastern part of South Africa, in an area known as the Greater Kruger National Park, and we are on Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi sands. It's actually a lovely morning, and it's not too cold at all, but you can see it's still quite dark, so we've got the spotlights out, and we'll see, hopefully we can spot something. Now, it's a bit tricky trying to spot tracks with the lights, but we try our best. So what we do is we drive really slowly, drive very carefully, just have a look around and make sure that we don't miss anything. Alright, well, I'm going to continue south for now. Let's head across to Tara so she can say good morning to you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome on board this morning. My name's Tara, and joining me on camera this morning is Senzo. And we're also really hoping to find some leopard for you this morning. So we just had an update from the guys who had shongile last night. Just as we closed down, shongile was seen around Tamborti Dam, which is a dam just a little bit further over in that direction. And apparently she crossed over onto our property probably about 20 minutes after we closed down. She headed south, and they were trying to keep up with her. Apparently she was on a bit of a mission, so she might not be in this area. She went down on Vubu Road and went west into this block to our right here. So I'm just heading up Galago shortcut. I'm not seeing any tracks whatsoever of leopard crossing the road, so she might still be in this block, or she might have headed south. Let's see what else we have. I've had some tracks from hyena. Just picked some more up from hyena actually. But other than that, not too much happening here at the moment. And you can see this, the sky is very dark. There's lots of cloud cover, as I'm sure Byron's already told you as well. So it's going to be quite an interesting morning, I'm hoping. So if we hit it lucky, we might get some spotted cats for you. I am really keeping my fingers crossed. So we've got plenty of kudu tracks. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to be able to see. I could try and show you, but let me see if I can get into a position where you might be able to see the kudu tracks, because they're quite interesting. Because if you remember talking about kudu actually placing one foot on top of the other, you can actually see it in their tracks as well. We're then going to go down to the dam. I'm just going to see, so we've got the tracks there. So if you're able to zoom in, maybe I might be able to try and explain what we're seeing. So there's the tracks there. So I'm trying to bounce the light so it's a bit like the sunlight. There you go. So actually in the spotlight there, the track there, I suppose it is a little bit difficult to see. So I'll have to try it in the sun, I think, because I'm just trying to work out how I can do it holding the spotlight and actually point it out to you. So we're going to carry on our mission. We're going to drive around and then we're going to end up in at the dam where it's hopefully going to be light, and we might be able to follow up on the nest from yesterday with the elephants. I'll tell you a bit more when you come back, but I think you're in for a treat this morning. It sounds like Jamie's in a hot air balloon over the Mara, which I think is going to be absolutely breathtaking, so enjoy that.
The live show onto the balloon. For those of you who've been watching there, we have been on Facebook, and we got a question from Lauren, who's from Las Vegas. And for everyone on Safari Live, my name is Brent, and you're up in the air over the marvelous Mara. And Lauren would like to know, which do I prefer, game drives on a vehicle or game drives or game flights from the balloon? Well, I don't think you can compare them. I think they are equally wonderful, and each has its own very special je ne sais quoi, for lack of a better word. There's something magnificent about being able to float over the Mara just on hot air, but there's also something incredible about being on the ground, driving around looking for the animals. Now, Laurie wants to know about the crocodiles in the Mara River, and Laurie would like to know, do they have sort of set areas that they stay in, or do they move about? Well, most of them will have set territory, specifically the bigger males, and they will defend those areas. Now, those areas will be high in food sources, especially during the migration, but also generally then high in females, so lots of mating opportunities to be able to take advantage of. Now, Jessie would like to know whether I'm watching or in the balloon. Jessie, there's some elephants. I'm actually sitting up in the migration control watching the balloon. We've got Manu and Gendre there, and that goes in with Ewan. Ewan would like to know, have I been in the balloon? I have indeed been in the balloon. Oh, look at that, Ellie. She can definitely, I think she's heard the of the balloon as it passed over. You just saw her ears open up and listen. Raren says it looks awesome on her 4K TV. Wow, that sounds spectacular. Dory says, so beautiful, it's just so heavenly. Stacy, do crocs ever hang out in the luggers? They do indeed. Stacy, I got quite a shock. I was near Sala's camp once, and I found about a 4.5 meter croc in a tiny little lugger, and he had about 3 wildebeest around him. Kylie wants to know, who do I root for the most? The lions, the crocs, the wildebeest, the zebra. It is the circle of life, but you have a personal choice. Well, Carly, I don't root for any of them. I just watch what's happening in front of me, and that's what I get enjoyment out of, seeing nature unfold. Sometimes you might be rooting for the lion, sometimes you might be rooting for the zebra, sometimes you might be even rooting for the crocodile, as long as you never smile at a crocodile. Ewan wants to know whether I was scared when I was up in the balloon. No, I wasn't. Fortunately, I'm not scared of heights, so I found it exhilarating. Oh, what do we got down there? We got some waterbuck chewing the cud on one of the old extinct arms of the Mara River. Isn't that wonderful? Here we go, looking back towards the east now, upstream of the Mara River. The Mara River, the source is about 200 kilometers from here, no, a little bit less than that, about 180 kilometers. And it is incredible. Can you believe it? It is at about 3,000 meters above sea level, the source for the Mara River in the Mau Highlands. Here we go, more hippos in the river, big crocs lying on the banks as well. Now, we should be getting a little bit close down to where the crossings come. Let me just have a look as we go wider. And lots of hippos there. Lots and lots of hippos. And
Alright, we've just managed to find a beautiful giraffe. Now, it's amazing to have those incredible views from the Mara, from the balloon. And it's just always so beautiful, something so different. But we've just found a big old male giraffe wandering about. Don't see any others around. It's not a... Looks like he's got some foliage stuck in his, or on his head, in between those horns, or ossicones. They're known as ossicones. And James, you said you were hoping for some spots or patterns. Does this count, James, or are you referring to spots in the form of a feline? We'll try our best, James. Nice way to start the morning. It's interesting, I saw an oxpecker on that giraffe already. I can't believe it that oxpecker is on there so early. Would have thought they'd still be resting. I suppose some of the birds there you can just see. I think on the back I saw a glimpse of one. There we go. There is a little oxpecker. Justin, you say you never see giraffe without their oxpeckers. Yeah, I suppose that's true, Justin. There are always a few oxpeckers around the giraffe. Excuse me a second. I think Tara was trying to get hold of me. Tara for Byron. Confirm, were you looking for me? Okay, copy. I'm at Chile Pan now. I'm going to check down the side. Thank you. Negative, I didn't. So Tara and I are both trying to find any sign of this young leopard that we believe walked through the area during the course of the night. Not exactly sure where she would have gone. I wonder if she didn't go and drink at Galago Pan, perhaps. Well, Tara's been showing us many different types of dung the last few days, and she's got some dung that belongs to the species of animal we are looking at right now.
Oh, hello everybody, and yes I do. So, just a few people were thinking that maybe the wildebeest dung was giraffe dung yesterday, so I just thought I'd just show you the size of it and the shape of it. So, it's still very fine. If I can actually put that in front of that one, that will stand it up, and then I can show you the pieces in it as well. So still quite fine, but you might be able to work out there's a little bit of leaf there, and that's very typical of animals that browse. You might be able to find little bits of leaf, but it's tiny, just because they really can break up everything that they eat, and their four-chambered stomach actually helps to do that. So when they actually swallow the leaves, goes down into the first stomach, or the rumen, and it almost gets sorted out. So the smaller stuff, if it's already very small, then it might sink down, but so the larger stuff will actually be regurgitated back up when the giraffe has a quiet moment. and they'll actually re-chew it. It's called chewing the cud. So you might see them just standing there, just chewing away, and that just gets it really nice and mushy. It mixes it in with saliva, so the bacteria can start breaking down the cellulose, and it just gets it really fine. And all the animals with the 4-chambered stomach actually has that. Jasper's saying that the dung looks like a walnut. Yes, it definitely does, doesn't it? Now this one's dried out a little bit as well. So yes, they chew it round. It's almost like a soup. They'll then swallow it down, and it gets passed into the first stomach, the rumen, and then it will actually go into the rest of the 3 chambers to be digested. So it's quite amazing how much nutrients they can really get out of a relatively small amount of food. So if I just show you next to my finger how big they are. So there's my finger. So we actually had some impala dung yesterday, which was tiny. So you can see this is pretty large. So obviously quite a large animal. You've been lucky enough to see it this morning with Byron. Bulls can get into just over a ton in weight. So it's quite amazing that they really produce something as small as that. So there we go. So I think we're just getting an update. Sorry, Byron, go ahead. Oh, okay, copy. Are the guests out on drive now? So we don't want to... Okay, copy. Rex and come in. Copy that, thank you. Are your guests still in camp? Copy that, thank you. Okay. So, just an update from Rex and one of the guides at Voyatella. Just saying that there was some alarm calls on Vubu Road, which is the road we're heading towards now. So I was literally doing a loop all the way around just to see if we could find any tracks. So if there are alarm calls, hopefully that means that there is cats around. Keep your fingers crossed. So we'll see if we can actually head towards there now. But I think there was a question that just came through, but I was just listening to the update. So, Rory, good morning Rory, welcome on board this morning. I hope you're enjoying our sunrise drive, seeing the giraffe this morning. And Rory wanting to know if the giraffe dung is similar to that in captivity or from captive giraffes. Just got to orientate myself. I think that's the other 2 track that never used to be there. So we need the next one on to go onto Mvubu Road. So it is actually very similar to captive giraffe. So it doesn't have points on it because when it hits the ground, it just scatters, and I think the force just forces it into these different odd shapes, and that is very similar to the captive giraffe as well, because obviously it's got about 2 meters to fall, and as they walk it just scatters everywhere. If they've been on a diet that's a little bit too rich, then it clumps together a little bit, so that can really help as a keeper to know if the giraffe has had maybe a little bit too rich a diet, and then you have to give them a lot more fibre So if they've had, say, a lot of vegetables or something like that, or a lot of fruits. So it's a really good way of actually seeing how healthy your animal actually is. But it tends to be a little bit wetter because of the diet in zoos, whereas here obviously they've got access to water as well, but obviously here they don't have access to water as much. And amazingly, that is an adaptation of giraffe. They are able to drink maybe 7 litres of water in a week if they really have to, but they will drink every day if they can. But they can. So that's pretty incredible, really, that giraffes can survive on such little water. So this is quite dry. Obviously we are in the winter, there's not as much water around, and it got dried out in the sun a little bit yesterday as well. So if you've got it nice and soft, then you know a giraffe is not far away. So on Vubu Road, going to be coming up on our right very shortly. Hi Mike, welcome on board this morning. And Mike wanting to know, are some herbivores ruminants and some hind gut fermenters? Yes, that's right. So the antelope, deer, they are 4-chambered stomach animals. They are the ruminants. And then you've got the hind gut fermenters, which are the large sized animals, so the elephants and the rhinos and even the pigs. The pigs are hind gut fermenters. Zebras, so animals that have, oops, sorry, a little bit bumpy there, should really have gone into low range for that. Have I still got you, Senzo? You're still there? Hold on, buddy. Okay, so we're approaching Mvubu Road, so we're going to go about halfway and switch off and just see if we can hear the alarm calls. But yes, so zebra as well. So animals that have the hind gut digestive system generally don't take out as much goodness from the food. So it tends to be pretty large. So we've just gone past a rhino toilet there. Hopefully you might have noticed the big dung on the road. So I think we're gonna carry on down Mvubu Road to see if we can find the alarm calling. In the meantime, I think we're going to head over to Byron and see what he's got for you.
Oh, nothing just yet, Tara, nothing just yet. I hope you have some luck with those alarm calls. I was just saying, I wonder if that leopard didn't, just because it's a nice spot for that leopard to drink, and she knows that area quite well. So I'm hoping that we have some luck in finding her this morning. We haven't found anything just yet. Again, this light is actually very difficult because the spotlight's starting to fade because it's getting lighter, but I can't actually see any tracks very clearly. It sounds like the moon is still up over the Mara, and Brent is enjoying the views there, and I think he'd like to talk more about it. Let's go.
Well, thanks, Byron, from the ground to the air. Great to have you all with us again, as we are going to be cruising across the Topi Plain. Now, Laurie wants to know what's the difference, temperature difference. Oh, there's some zebras between the Masai Mara and the Sabi Sands. I think at the moment, this time of the year, it's quite similar. If anything, the Sabi Sands probably gets a little bit colder overnight, but pretty similar temperatures at the moment. In the mornings, probably starting around between 12 and 15 degrees Celsius, and going up to sort of high 20s during the day. Now, Stacey's wondering about the path of the Mara River. Does it stay the same or change year to year? Well, it changes over time. So rivers will change their course, but it's generally not an immediate and fast thing. It can happen. It'll happen over years and years, sometimes even hundreds of years, as the water eats away at the different soils. So most rivers are on the boundary of different types of soils, and then they cut the weak ground between. So there we go. You can see an old Oxbow Lagoon. There we go. We're getting up nice and high over the Topi Plains. Now, I was on the balloon last week, and the wildebeest were full up over this area. So it's amazing how they move around, and that little bit of, or quite a bit of rain we had, will probably bring them a bit higher up towards and closer to Governors, and it's going to be interesting to see. So we're looking now down towards the east, or up towards the east, across towards the east, whichever you. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Now we can actually see Tanzania in the distance. So the furthest sort of land we can see in the haze in the distance is Tanzania. And you'll see how different it is as we move away from the forested areas along the river out into the open grasslands. Now, there are bushes you can see. Most of those are small bushes, and then the bigger trees that will be out there are shepherd's trees or Balanites trees. And, of course, lots of different creatures live out in the open grasslands. And you can see we're getting up really nice and high now. Up, up, and away! Joanne wants to know what's my favorite spot in the Mara now that I've had a chance to explore. Joanne, I have many favorite spots. You can't just choose one. It is an amazing, amazing area. I'd definitely say along the Sand River is one of my favorite areas. Down south in the Mara Triangle around Giraffe is another one. But there's lots of wonderful places. Oh, what have we got? What have we got? Topi and wildebeest. Couple of wildebeest, a couple of topi, enjoying the lovely, lovely grass. Carly says she's taken a balloon ride over East Texas, but this is amazing. Yes, it's a little bit different here. Other than the burner, is it quite quiet? There we go, we found some wildebeest. Now let's start looking for some lions as well. Hello, gnus. Oh, look, I'm being mad this morning. No. They are hilarious. There we go. Debbie was wondering where all the wildebeest are. There they are. Well, some of them at least. And we haven't seen any black rhino this morning, but we have seen them quite frequently. We've seen quite a few of them actually, so they are around and about. We're unlucky so far this morning, and I think now that we're in the grasslands, we're probably not going to see any black rhino. Ali wants to know, can you find a leopard from the balloon? Yes, you can. VM found one last week from the balloon. Okay, now as you can see, moving away from the river now. Ceci, yes, there's Cece, there's definitely Topi amongst the wildebeest. Now, of course, they're resident. They don't go wandering. They stay here all year round. And the plane we're flying over often has big congregations of them. So it is called the Topi Plain.
Hello everybody, so we're just behind Voyatel Lodge. There's a little 2-track that leads to the little pan, and the guests are out, so we're able to drive this road now. We've just been sat here for a few moments. We've not heard any alarm calls, and this grey go-away bird doesn't seem to be too fussed about anything going on, more interested in getting himself ready for the day. So we listen out for any alarm calls from the animals, and it's kind of a universal language, so everybody understands everybody else's alarm call, so animals will pick up on the go-away bird going "Woo! Woo!" It used to be called the grey lory, but they did in fact change their name to the Turacos, or the whole family, the Turacos. Unfortunately, the other Turacos are actually much brighter coloured than the grey lory. So they've got the purples and the greens, so it's Churasin, Churacovidin. Now that's not all it's called. You can see it's raising the crest there. So they decided they couldn't call the grey lory a Turaco because it doesn't have those pigments. So instead they took it from the call, which is, say, only half of what it's doing now. It does actually say, "Hello." You might hear one just behind us calling, doing the full call. You gonna do it for us, buddy? No, I'm just gonna sit here and look pretty. So we're gonna carry on driving around to the pan. Maybe the leopard might come down to drink from there. I haven't found any tracks suggesting that she's gone east or north. So I'm hoping if there's anyone watching the Gowrie Dam cam, that if they see a leopard they'll let me know. So we've got extra eyes looking out there as well. So keep your fingers crossed, guys. So unfortunately I'm not having so much luck here, so let's see if Byron's... I feel like this is turning into a bit of a competition now. So I'm hoping... No, I'm not really. I was going to say I'm hoping he hasn't found anything, but actually I am. It'd be great to actually show you guys a leopard this morning. But let's see how he's getting on anyway. Let me know.
Well, Tara, it's quiet for me so far too. Now I've been driving around trying to check the roads carefully for any sign of any predator. Haven't found anything just yet, but I do think it is too soon to panic. We have, we haven't been going for very long this morning yet, so it's still early. Thought I caught a glimpse of something here, but no. No, nothing yet. Anyway, hang on now. Yesterday we got here. We were in this area, and there were 3 or 4 vultures around. Now there appeared to be a lot more vultures, but I don't know why. Look at those white-backed vultures perched up in the tree. Now, again, I'm not sure if this is perhaps because there is a kill around, or have these vultures just spotted one another perched in the trees and decided to come and roost up there for the night? I don't know. We may just have to check this area a little bit later too, because if you see the vultures going down to the ground, obviously that would help. Now, they don't always sit in trees directly above a kill. They may sit they may sit a little bit away from the kill, and the reason for that is they probably just find this tree, if there was a kill around, this tree is more comfortable and easier for them to land in. So it's not to say that they'd be directly above the kill every time. It could be quite a distance away, sometimes up to 100 meters or so away from a kill. But I think, yeah, we should scan. I'm going to scan this area carefully and just double check. Yesterday we didn't have any sign or any tracks of predators coming into the area. Couldn't smell a carcass or anything. But like I said, it would help if we see these vultures going down to the ground. Might give us a better idea. I think we should definitely have a look around. That's interesting. So I'm going to look around a little bit over here. It's still early. I need to work on my pronunciation. Let's go across to Tara though. She's got tracks she wants to show you.
So I do have some tracks, so I'm going to jump out and try and explain to you what we're actually seeing. So if I can. Okay, I've just got to make sure I've got the right track. Is it this one that you're showing here? Yeah, okay. So, here, not to get you excited, but hopefully you're going to see that it looks like a paw, maybe from your cat or dog at home. So actually we do have a track of a member of the carnivore family. It looks very similar to that of a leopard, but there's a few subtle differences. Now, I hope you guys are looking behind me every so often to make sure there's no leopard jumping out behind me. We are in the right area for where they heard the alarm calls this morning. So the alarm calls were somewhere around the northern side of the lodge, which is where we are now. There's a little pan over there of water. So that's why we've also stopped as well, to see if we can listen out, because as I said just earlier, that the alarm calls are very important for trying to find where a carnivore is as well. So hopefully there may be someone that spots the leopard walking through the bush. So the track that we've got here is actually a hyena track. So we've got the back pad here, so I'm just tracing the outline with my finger, and it's got 2 lobes. Now that's usually very characteristic of the dogs. The cats generally have 3 lobes, so it would actually be like that. So that's what we look for with the leopard. We've also got half moon toes, so hopefully you can see that. Hopefully there is enough shadow there. So it's like a half crescent moon just there, so they curl around like that, and they're all very close together. So hopefully you can see that. And you may even be able to see the claw marks just there. So the hyena walk with the claws out constantly, whereas the true cats, they retract them. So just like the leopard is a true cat, it retracts its claws. And the toes on the leopard are more oval shaped, so almost like little beans. And they're a little bit further apart from the actual back pad. So on the track here, they're actually very close to the back pad. There's not really any gap between the two. So those are very subtle differences, but once you get used to them, it jumps out at you as hyena. So spotted hyena went that way. Last night it does look very fresh, so I'm hoping that maybe we can find some more leopard tracks down the road. Keep your fingers crossed. It would be amazing to see that cat, and I'm sure you guys are eager to see it as well. So let's jump aboard and see what else is a bit further around the corner. You never know, we might just bump into the cat walking down the road this time of day. or even sat behind the termite mound. That would be amazing. So alarm calls, as I say, are universal, so either snorting or barking, but everybody understands everybody else, and it just says, hey guys, we need to keep a lookout, there is a predator on the prowl, and if everyone can keep a lookout, then there's no way that predator can sneak up on everybody. And the predator then has to give up, and it's quite funny, you can just see them go, okay, and sometimes they'll just get up, white tail in the air, you know what guys, I give up. I've been spotted, excuse the pun. Definitely, Anna Marie, keep everything crossed, keep your whole body crossed. It really would be great to find the leopard, and I think you guys deserve to see the leopard as well. We've been bigging them up, and I think Shongile especially would be amazing to see. Obviously Shongile is the daughter of Karula from her last litter. So Karula's actually had 5 litters raised successfully, and apparently Shongile actually has almost the whole wow that her mother had across her forehead, and I think that was what made her, or one of the things that made her so special. She had wow formed from the spots across her forehead, so she was very easy to distinguish between other leopards, and apparently that has been passed down to her daughter. But if you look carefully, there will be very subtle differences, because the leopard spots pattern, or the spot pattern, the rosette pattern, are all unique to each leopard. So even though there'll be some formations that get passed on, as I say, if you check carefully, you'll see there'll be very subtle differences. Ah, going from spots to stripes. Byron's moving further away. But actually he's doing better than me. At least he's got a mammal. So well done, Byron. So we're gonna check to see what animal belongs with those stripes.
Now, this animal is very well camouflaged at the moment. It's disappeared behind some trees, but there you can see the stripes. Have you guessed it already? I'm sure some of you have. Let's see if I can get you a better view. It's a... well, wait, I'll give you a few more minutes to have a guess. Can you identify what that was? Dear. Where has it gone? There we go. Luckily there's another one through there, Craig. I think you might see it. There we go. There's some more. It is indeed the kudu. I hope you all guessed that. There's some female kudus that are walking through the area. Zaina, you did guess kudu, well done. You can see just a small group of females. Often with the herds of kudu, or the small herds of kudu, it'll be females with some of the youngsters, and every now and then a big male or 1 or 2 males may meet up with them. The males generally form these small bachelor herds. Males with those beautiful big spiral horns. Always nice to see the kudu. I do enjoy them, with their very big ears. And they prefer the thickets, because they are browsers, so they feed off the leaves of trees. Laura Moore, I think you also guessed or identified kudu. Oh, sorry, Laura Moore, you said, could you identify it? Yes, okay, I got you now. kudu. Very good, very good. You'll notice it's very early, our Lauren, so jokes like that will take us a while. I'm going to blame Alice on this one. It's the way Alice read it to me, I think. I'm sorry, Alice. I'm actually joking. Some of you say I should have some more coffee. I haven't had coffee yet, everyone. Perhaps that's why. No, it's too early for coffee, I think. Need to wait a little bit longer. Then I may have a break. Got the old flask or thermos. So we call them flasks, but I know the rest of the world, I think, call them a thermos. Call it a thermos. Can be the kudu, I believe, will breed throughout the year. They do not have a specific breeding season. I'm just going to double check for you quickly, but I believe they breed throughout the year. Calves are born throughout the year. But with most of these antelope, generally summer months, and the reason for that is because of food availability. So food and water is crucial for the animals. So summer months are ideal for them to give birth, because then there's an abundance of food for the adults and they can look after the calves a lot better, with the kudu, for example. But that's why a lot of the other antelope, like the wildebeest and the impala, they have strict breeding seasons, and it's linked... basically in line with the first rains. That's the theory, and is that they... thought I heard an elephant. Just listening quickly. So as I was saying, the impala and the wildebeest, they will plan their mating season. Well, the mating season is a certain time of year, so that when they do give birth, there's an abundance of food and water. It's usually after the first rains, but that there is a little bit more food and water for when those calves are all born, or calves for the wildebeest and lambs for the impala. But with the kudu, it can happen all year round, much like some of the other antelope, Inyala. What else have we got? The waterbuck. It'll generally be any time during the year, but a lot of them do prefer summer months. It sounded like an elephant. Did you hear that, Craig? In the distance? I don't know. Now, Roshni, sorry. Dear. It just seems like our luck isn't going our way at the moment. Sorry, Roshni, I'll get to your question shortly. It sounds like they found 2 male lions, but on Torchwood, unfortunately. That's so unlucky. Well, you never know. Maybe they get up and they move around and they head this way. I think... positive thoughts, maybe they do that. Let's put it out into the universe. We want the lions to head across to our side. Rashni, you were asking which antelope species have a harem in this area. Well, Rashni, I suppose I think the term harem only is often, well, it's mainly used for zebra, But what does happen at times is animals like the wildebeest, you'll often see male wildebeests setting up a small territory for themselves, and they will defend that territory against other males. As soon as a group of females or a small herd of females and youngsters walk through, those males try to keep those females together. So I don't know if it's a harem as such, or if he'll keep them for as long as he can, mate with them, and then they move off again. Whereas the zebra, the males generally stay within that herd. That male will stay with that harem. So I think it's slightly different. as opposed to just having a little territory and trying to mate once off with these animals, with the females, and then they move off again. Same with impala. The impala, it's not really a harem. One male will have, he'll have a number of females. Technically, I suppose it's a harem, but the thing is, once he finishes the mating season, he returns back to a bachelor herd. So I don't know if it can be considered a harem. I suppose to an extent, technically it is. I think let's go up to Buffelshoek Dam. I haven't been there for quite some time. Let's take a drive around there and just scan that area, see if there's anything around there. Temperature's starting to drop a little bit now. There's cloud, it's still very cloudy. I must be honest, I love these cool winter mornings, and the smell now. We're driving very close to this fire break, and it has been burnt slightly up. I think they're going to have to do it again, because there's still a lot of grass and that around here. But the smell, that burnt charcoal, burnt wood smell, just a lovely smell. I love it. I really enjoy it. Beats working. Okay, let me see if I can get this right. You said, what good could a kudu do if a kudu could do good? Was that it? That's a bit of a tongue twister for early this morning. She sells seashells on the seashore. Should do those practices before the morning drive. Craig was actually saying he thinks this morning is going to be quite cold, especially just before the sunrise. I think he's right. Now we've got some animals which are slightly indecisive. Apparently up in the Mara, there's a decision to be made. Are we going to cross the water or not? Let's go and have a look.
Well, welcome back to the Mara. We're on the murderous Mara River with a group of wildebeest that are considering taking the plunge on this cool morning. And let's go have a quick look. I'm not sure how many of them, but there look to be a fair number at Main North Crossing. They've been here for about 45 minutes now. You can almost see them talking to each other. No. Should we do it? No. Shouldn't we? No. Is there a crocodile? No. Lion. All around this area. And they've been, as I said, they've been massing, they've been considering, and it's going to be interesting to see who takes the first plunge. Here we go. Hello, Gnus. Now it looks like they might be deciding, oh no, let's move along. It does look like they've changed their mind. But of course with wildebeest they might change their mind back again. Remember to use the hashtag SafariLive if you've got any questions. And my name is Brent and I'm sitting in migration control, and my migration is moving away. Now, it's always a good idea to keep a very close look in this area for lions. We've had quite a few lion kills happen right here. And they use that long grass on the edge of the river to sneak up towards the unsuspecting Gnus. Safari Wild Man says, come on you beasties, take a dip. Oh, I think they think it's a bit chilly this morning. Maybe they'll wait for the sun to come up a bit, and then they will possibly think about taking the plunge. Now, of course, it would have been quite cold last night, lots of rain about. Oh, what do we have there? We have a spur-winged. Don't run behind the grass. Oh, he's going to run behind the grass, of course he is. I'll keep an eye, see if he pops out again, but there's a spur-winged lapwing. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that these wildebeest are not going to cross. It just means they might not cross right now, or they might move up to cul-de-sac crossing, or down to Main South, or even Dusty crossing. At the moment, just milling about. Umpa says, why do I call it the murderous Mara River? Well, I'll try to find the reason why now. So, as these wildebeest take the plunge into the water, death waits. So, oopsie, wrong way, there we go. There's some hippos. They're not so murderous if you're a wildebeest, though. Let's have a look. We might spot one here. Nope. Let's try a little bit downstream. There we go. Now, where are they hiding? Now, they should be coming out of the water to warm up. Where are they hiding? So, the murderous Mara is due to the crocodiles, the absolute behemoths that live in the river around the crossings that are waiting for those wildebeest. And as they take the plunge, the crocodilians will pounce. I think I see one. Yes, I do. I think that's one up there. Is that a crocodile? No, it's not a crocodile, but we do have a heron. Well, they're not up and about just yet, the big crocodiles, but they will be. Alas, no crocodiles visible, but that's why I do call it the murderous Mara, due to the fact of the very big crocodiles that we get. Ooh, oopsie, that was a bit fast. Tally-ho is wondering, is it a less dangerous time of day to cross? Well, Tally-ho, I think any time of the day it's dangerous to cross this river. There are just so many large crocodiles. Now, it looks like they might be moving up towards another crossing point. Maybe they saw a crocodile. Oh, there's some Egyptian geese flying through. But as we say adieu to the wildies, let's go back to Byron, who's on hunt for leopards.
Well, at this stage, I'm looking for anything really. No sign just yet of any tracks. Wonder, let's see if we can spot an interesting bird or two. Oh, I can hear one, but it sounds like it's just north of our boundary. A red-crested coron. Oh, I could hear it calling, but it sounds like it's a little bit far from here. Oh, some beautiful golden-breasted buntings. Down a little bit, Craig. So there was one that was, I think it's a little sparrow at the top there. I think it's a female. That one over there, I think it was the female golden-breasted bunting. Slightly brown in coloration. Always nice to see them. Zena, you asked, have I seen any animals acting out because of the full moon? Other than Craig, no, nothing really. No, I haven't. I'm not sure if it causes the animals to change their behavior too much, Zena, to be honest. I think I think it changes. Well, I don't think predators are as successful when hunting at night because it is so much brighter. So the prey species can see them a lot easier. I think that does make a difference. But in terms of actual behavior, I don't think, or I haven't seen anything. Now, Tara's apparently at Gowrie Dam. Oh, there's some hyena tracks along the road here. Tara's at Gowrie Dam, and she wanted to have a look if she could find that nest that was apparently broken yesterday. And let's go and have a look.
Hi everybody. Yeah, so as promised, we thought we'd come down and have a look for the blacksmith lapwing nest. Now, for those of you who might be joining us for the first safari, the blacksmith lapwing, there's one over by the water's edge there. So this is one of the parents. So we had just to set the scene for those who missed the sunset safari last night. We had a herd of elephants that came down. We had a boisterous little male elephant that was chasing everything away, and the blacksmith lapwings were calling, but I thought it was just them just calling because they can get a little bit jumpy sometimes. But I didn't see them dive bomb or try to dive bomb any of the elephants, which is quite normal if you're getting too close to a nest. It was just calling as it is now. I thought I could hear something else calling then, but it's not what I was thinking. So you can hear where it gets its name from, the blacksmith hammer on an anvil. Sounds like the metal clanking against the metal, basically. And it's actually walking towards where we think the nest actually was. So I think I found the nest, judging by where all the where all the features are. So the elephants came down to drink. The little boy was, say, chasing everyone away. And at some stage, we think one of the elephants actually trod on the lapwing nest. Now, the eggs are usually extremely well camouflaged. They blend in. It's quite out in the open for the lapwings. They seem to prefer to tuck it underneath a bush or something like that, so it's quite exposed. So I'm just wondering if these lapwings are maybe not very experienced parents, so perhaps they've put it out in the open like this. But elephants are usually quite careful where they put their feet, so it's possible that maybe the elephant was distracted, or, as I say, just really didn't know it was there. But we were discussing this last night, and both myself and Byron have actually had friends experience, or have actually directly experienced, elephants actually at night walking amongst people in sleeping bags, and you can see where the trunks have actually been sniffing just to make sure they're not actually putting their feet on the people. My friend in particular, he was a young lad, and he actually remembers experiencing that, and the elephants actually walked very quietly in amongst the children that were sleeping to get to a basket of fruit that was actually put at the back of a boma, just a fenced off area where the children were actually sleeping, and the parents couldn't do anything because if they shouted or screamed or anything, then it would have all broken out and obviously injured and maybe killed some children. But they just literally had to watch with bated breath just what on earth is going to happen, and the elephants just crept in, got the food and crept out again. And say no child was harmed. So their feet are just so sensitive. That's why it's quite a shock to us that it looks like it wasn't even the young elephant, because we thought maybe it was the young elephant that may have stepped on the next nest by accident by chasing yeah, definitely a story, Chris. It really is. When my friend was telling me, I was also, what's going to happen? But my friend was sat there, so I knew he didn't get harmed. But yeah, so that we're quite amazed that they found the nest. But that's why we thought maybe it was the young elephant, sort of chasing things, not really aware of anything. It would make sense. But when we've seen the clip from one of the zoomies, there's the elephant. It looks like it was an adult elephant who was fairly calm. So I'm just going to go and point to where I think the nest is. There isn't anything there. There's 1 or 2 bits of feather, but that's about it. I thought if there was anything, if the eggs hadn't been crushed, I thought I might still be able to see them. But obviously with predators wandering around overnight, I thought if the eggs had been cracked, then there's not likely to be anything around. The predator would probably have cleared it up, and I think that's what's actually happened. But I'm hoping it's kind of given you closure, I suppose, kind of wondering, did it survive, did it not survive at least? And unfortunately things like this do happen in the bush, and as I say, even inexperienced adults with offspring, they can actually learn sometimes from their mistakes. It would be interesting to see if these blacksmith lapwings do that, because I say it is fairly open, but maybe they chose it because there's the 2 logs there. Now, as I say, the behaviour, they usually dive bomb, so as I'm walking towards the nest, they're still very protective. I've already been out to have a quick look, so you might see them sort of flying over. I actually thought they were going to dive bomb me, which made me think that maybe there's something still around. But there's the other adult there. So as I walk out, you might just see that behaviour that wasn't there yesterday from what I saw. So they're flying overhead. Now it could be that there isn't too much to protect here, so that might be why they're not going to dive bomb me directly. But certainly we didn't see them take to the skies like that. But I think this is where the nest was. Sorry, not this one. Pointing to the wrong one. But this is why they really don't make a big song and dance about a nest, because obviously if they do, predators are going to be able to find the nest very easily. So it's a little scrape in the ground. There's a couple of sticks in there, but I am seeing a couple of feathers, downy feathers. But as I say, they wouldn't actually line the nest, because as soon as the eggs hatch open, the chicks are going to be able to move around and they'll move away from the nest. But I'm not seeing anything else in there, so I think we've got the right place. So, as I say, unfortunately, that is what happens in the bush. It's all about survival, and unfortunately this time the parents didn't really pick the right spot for their nest. Very sad. You can see they're settling down now. But that's possibly a feather from one of the adults. Nice downy feather to keep them warm. I walk in the rain. Will they have another clutch? Yes, they probably will. I'm not sure how long an interval between this batch and the next batch, but they can breed throughout the year. So I'm hoping they will learn and perhaps maybe put it over into the bush this side. So I think we're going to head to Byron and see what else he has found.
Nothing yet, Tara, but again, as Tara was mentioning, that apparently that elephant that stood on the nest of the lapwings, and as Tara said, we've both found it very strange. Now, because I've heard and I've seen elephant, and they're very cautious. They actually are very cautious of what they stand on. So I couldn't believe that an elephant stood on the nest. And often those lapwings, if those big animals get close to the nest, they'll come and they'll dive bomb and they'll mob the whatever animal it is, and they'll often stand. I've seen lapwings, and I think some of you have seen it with me before. A lapwing, blacksmith lapwing, standing pecking at buffalo's nose while it was walking along to stop it from going near the nest. And they do. The animals then back off and off they go. But it was very strange to see an elephant. Oh, right. Sammy Jane, apparently you say the night before the lapwings chased off leopards from that area. So, yeah, if a predator like the leopards get too close to the nest, they'll dive bomb and try and get them to move away. So you must have seen that on the dam cam. But it's interesting. I can't believe that elephant actually stood on the nest. It's interesting. Unless it just completely didn't see it and there was too much excitement within the herd. Apparently they were a bit on edge from what Tara was saying. So I don't know, maybe they weren't as cautious as they usually are, but very interesting. Now I'm trying to think where we are going to go next. I'm going to weave through this way, I think. Maybe head... I'm trying to think. Yeah, let's just weave south a bit. Now, I was saying to Craig, I for some reason I haven't had a lot of luck around Buffelshoek Dam in terms of seeing animals. It's I don't know, for some reason I don't often see animals around here. In the past, had a few sightings here and there, but nothing. It's not like regularly we come down and we tend to see stuff. If I think of Chitwa Dam, for example, there's always a lot going on there. I wonder why. I don't know. Tara's got a bird she wants to show you. Let's go see what it is.
Yeah, before it flies off, look at that. It's actually still on camera. For a brief moment. So, any birders on board this morning if you want to get involved? What bird is this? And just be careful when you do make the call. So if hashtag Safari Live, you want to get involved, what bird it is this? But have a look at the coloration around the head. So we have a brown colour on the top and a black colour through the eye and then a cream in between the two. And I'll explain why I'm saying be careful of that when we get some answers. We don't tend to see it very often, so it's really nice to see it. It just they tend to bob around in the bush, so to see it is quite a nice thing. Has he gone? I think he's gone. Okay. So, Daniel, welcome on board this morning, Daniel. Daniel's saying sparrow. Not quite Daniel, but well done for trying. So I think I'm still not hearing any alarm calls. I'm really taking it quite easy around here, just to see if there is anything to give away the leopard that may be around there. Now I've heard as well, I think the night before there was actually a leopard that got chased off by the blacksmith lapwings, because I was wondering if they had actually laid some eggs, because there's no eggshells there as well, so I wondered if maybe they'd already been taken or whether they had actually been laid. So if anyone can actually confirm that you definitely did see that there were eggs there, because you saw that they were still being fairly protective of the nest area. So it'd be definitely interesting to hear if someone definitely saw the eggs there. That would be great. Tim, a bush pigeon. Are you making this up as you go along, Tim? A bush pigeon. We do have pigeons, but I don't know of a bush pigeon. We also have doves as well. An emerald spotted wood dove I have seen and heard. They sound a little bit like a Birchall's cuckoo, so they can throw you off your game a little bit. Shorn, one of the lark species. Not quite shorn, but again, nice try. So it is about that sort of size. So it's a bit bigger than a sparrow, not quite as big as a blackbird. In between the two. Let's say it is one that is very rarely seen. I'll be very impressed if you guys get it. Johan, well done. Just as I'm saying that, brilliant. Definite bragging rights to Johan this morning. It was a brown-headed bush shrike. Brown-headed chegra. What am I saying? Brown-headed chegra. But it has actually got another name. 3 Street chegra now. So they have changed it. But the brown is very important because there is also a black crowned chegra. So to get the two mixed up. So that was the brown. Hi David, and welcome on board this morning. I'm actually going to do this loop again, and it might be a little bit boring for you guys, but just in case something has changed, because as I say, you can drive the same road twice and things just pop out the bush all of a sudden. So this is the best thing we've got to go on. It might be that we get some tracks now crossing. It could be the leopard waited for us to drive by and then walked on the road. But Davey wanting to know, would a leopard snack on an egg? And it's one of those, generally you'd say no, but if the leopard's hungry enough and they found it, why not? If they can crack it open, leopards literally will turn their claws to anything. Oh, and we have another animal that turns their bill to anything, which is the red-billed hornbill. Although it looks like he's eating ants off the ground this morning. Picking each one up one by one and throwing it back and gulping it down. But there was quite an interesting paper that came out on the diet of the leopard, and I think on there it named at least 102 species of animal, large and small. They'll eat insects, tortoises, they can get their claws into tortoises, pangolins, porcupines, even up to young giraffe. I've even seen a picture of 2 leopards sitting in the tree with what looked to be a sub-adult giraffe. I mean, that's power right there. I mean, you're talking about an animal that's literally from nose to bum, about that sort of length, that sort of height, pulling more than its body weight up in its jaws, not even in its paws, in its jaws, up vertical, 3 or 4 meters. I mean, if you look at this marula tree opposite us here, and see how vertical those trunks actually are. Actually, I think that's the jackalberry. Sorry, my bad. Jackalberry. But even so, this is another tree that they like. But look at those. There's no branches that fork off for at least 3 meters. And they can, as I say, drag more than their body weight up the tree. Some of you viewers might remember, it was actually one of my very first drives. It was actually a night drive, and we had Karula feeding on a carcass. She'd only eaten part of it. It was an impala. An impala can weigh about, a female impala, maybe about 40 kilos or so, and we reckon Karula's probably about 40 kilos, so probably about the same weight as her, and it was actually the same sort of setup. So a termite mound with a jackalberry coming out of it, and Karula actually started carrying the impala up the tree. And there was a little tree next to her, and I think it must have just been enough of a foothold for her to use it to get onto the trunk. And she had the impala in her mouth, and literally as she stepped out, she just missed the trunk and she dropped straight down. And I promise you, my heart was in my mouth. I actually thought Karula had just killed herself on screen. I think that's something I never shared with anybody until now. But I actually thought, oh my word, it's my first week. One of the stars of the show has just killed herself live. How am I going to handle this? Luckily, what felt like a lifetime, she actually did move. And the relief was just immense. And even Herman, my cameraman at the time, said I went white. Which obviously you couldn't pick up because it was infrared, but it was just absolutely incredible. But she got herself up and she got that impala again and she hoisted it right up the tree. And I mean, she must have winded herself, but she got up and she got it in there again. It was just absolutely incredible. And as I say, the power of these cats, you really can't underestimate it at all. So we're going to do another loop and hopefully see if anyone else has spotted the leopard or if there's any tracks on the road. We'll keep you posted, and hopefully Byron has found something for you.
I have indeed, and I'm excited because we've managed to spot a little barred owlet, an African barred owlet, sitting quite high up in have a look at that, in that very large knobthorn with those beautiful yellow flowers at the moment. And there it sits. Now it looks very similar to the pearl-spotted owlet. However, the barred owlet has got those very prominent white markings down the side of the wing, and it also does not have those two black spots. Oh, there it goes. It's gone. I didn't see where it flew. Anyway, we got to see it, thank goodness. What a beautiful, beautiful owl. And I love seeing these owls at the moment. We've been spotting a lot of them. Yesterday we had a scops owl in the beginning of drive, and now the African barred owlet. And I hope all of you are enjoying seeing them as much as I am. Scanning, I thought I saw some movement in this tree now. No. Yeah. So anyway, that was very nice. Let me just actually show you. Let me show you the difference quickly. I know we've been going through owls the last few days, but it's always wonderful to see these little ones. Let me show you. There's the African barred owlet. There, that's a very round little head, and you can see those markings on the front very clearly, almost like little blotches. And then those are the white markings on the back of the wing that we saw. See that very clear. Just trying to see if there's a picture of the back of the head. No, there. That's basically what we saw. You can see those markings very clearly in the back of the head. Now I just want to find the pearl spotted owlet for you. There we go. Now look at the difference. See, they look similar there, except on the front of the pearl spotted owlet, you can see it's almost like little streaks down the front, not those very clear blotches. And also there's a bit of white on the wing, but not as clear as that of the barred owlet. And then it has those two very prominent black marks on the back of the head, which appear to be eyes. They look like eyes. So anyway, that was a nice surprise. Good, our luck is starting to change. Look at that. I think that's a good sign. We're probably going to find some more interesting things, and I think Tara has found some antelope she'd like to show you, also with white stripes, but not like the kudu that I showed you.
Yeah, so we have a mammal for you finally. Sounds like you had a lovely owl. So slightly smaller than the kudu that Byron did have earlier. And this is a female, no horns. And we just had a grey-headed bushshrike calling. Look how dainty the feet are. Absolutely tiny. Such a beautiful antelope. So this is a Nyala, chestnut brown, still has stripes and a few spots, and a big fluffy white tail. And when they are alarmed, if they're running away, they actually curl that tail back and expose the white, which is a bit like a follow me sign for the other members of the herd. Now the rest of the herd are actually to my left, and it looks like they might come over and join her. So that's who she's listening out for. Keeping tabs on where they are. So they're going to be eating grass, pods and leaves and things like that for now. And then as it gets a bit warmer, they'll find a nice quiet spot, and then they'll regurgitate that and chew it around, chew the cud, so that it's really nice and mushy, as we were talking about earlier, making use of the 4-chambered stomach. Hopefully you can hear the bird calling behind me, the grey go-away bird doing its call.